the parts that relate to this fraudulent attempt to pretend that Donald Trump had the 2020 election stolen from him. This is what Nicole Dunphy says. And this is her discussions that she had with him allegedly in February of 2019, a year before the election. Giuliani told Ms. Dunphy in her capacity as his employee about a plan that had been prepared for if Trump lost the 2020 election. Specifically, Giuliani told Ms. Dunphy that Trump's team would claim that there was voter fraud and that Trump had actually won the election. This plan was discussed at several business meetings with Giuliani and Lev Parnas of Lev and Igor fame. That sounds like something that Jack Smith might want to know about.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Ms. Dunphy is, while she's a victim, she's also a witness to a massive attack on our democracy. And if she has information that shows that were conversations, and she has some of those on tape about the plot to thwart the election and show that this was deliberate, this was contrived, this was planned, this wasn't just some rowdy tourist having a normal day on Capitol Hill. Like there was a deeper conspiracy going on that started before the election results even came in. That's something that any special counsel and anyone investigating what happened that led to the circumstance of January 6th should want to look at. And so she becomes a very important and credible witness. I can't underscore the proximity to the people that were firsthand a part of this is incredibly important and very credible. And if I were Rudy Giuliani, Donald Trump, and everyone in the Republican Party, I'd be very worried right now.
Well, and John Eastman, right? I mean, so we know that John Eastman did seek, allegedly sought a presidential pardon. We know that there were a bunch of members of Congress who, went and asked and inquired about whether they could get pardons as well. And now what at least this woman is alleging is that they premeditated the Stop the Steal scam a year before the election. That seems to me like something Fonnie Willis might want to talk to them about.
Absolutely. And what is also crucial about this case is in making her claim, part of her civil claim requires proving that she was actually an employee of Rudy Giuliani. And one of the crucial pieces of evidence is the fact that she had access to years worth of his emails, which not every email may come into evidence for the purpose of this claim, but a lot of them to show that she was in close proximity to Giuliani, who was the president's right-hand man, and that she had access to all kinds of things that could even raise national security implications based on the number of people whose emails she said she had. That can go forward in proving claims of what happened leading up to January 6th.
Well, and you talk about, too, like you see right now, these Republicans on Capitol Hill talking about the weaponization of government and investigating everything they can possibly get their hands on relating to the president's first family. And yet here we have, again, another example of a potential pay-for-play scheme at the federal government level. Where's Jim Jordan on this? Where's James Comer on this? They're out there chasing freaking shadows that don't exist and making up stuff. And here we have another example of corruption, malfeasance, and abuse of power, and they're nowhere to be seen.
And by the way, one of the people who allegedly was offered this pay-to-play scheme is a man named John Kiriakou. He's a former CIA officer who was convicted of illegally disclosing classified information, something Trump should be familiar with. He apparently turned down the $2 million deal. Give me $2 million, I'll give you a pardon. But there have been, we were talking at the meeting earlier, there have been allegations that Trump was offering these pardons for money, down to people saying maybe Lil Wayne bought his pardon. Like it's been a thing for a while. But selling a pardon, I mean, this is obviously illegal. If Donald Trump were found to have done this, is there a likelihood that maybe Jack Smith opens a third line of inquiry into him?
Or just continues the one that he's on? I mean, it would be a part of the same basic underlying things. But yes, it could be, it would definitely be more of an investigation. This is something that has not yet been fully vetted out as far as that we could see. But this additional information, of course, would be.
And those were all rumors. I should say, I should know if all the Lil Wayne fans don't come for me on Twitter. I don't even go on Twitter anymore. But it's just, at the time, I think people asked questions about a lot of people who got pardons and said, did these people pay money? But I just wanted to talk for you one second about Rudy Giuliani. This is Rudy Giuliani, who used to be a prosecutor, a respected prosecutor. He has lost his law license in New York. The D.C. Appeals Court is looking at his law license as well. He could be disbarred in D.C. Why? And it now appears that he was sort of flagrantly at least proposing crimes, allegedly, at least according to this woman. What happens to people when they get in the orbit of Donald Trump, do you think?
Well,
or were they already corrupt?
It's like one of two things seems to happen. Either one, they end up needing to lawyer up themselves because they become a part of a mass web of potentially criminal activity. And the other thing, too, is at some point along the way, they end up getting dumped and just rolled over on by Donald Trump. This is a guy who's not loyal to anybody. And as soon as it gets too hot for Donald, he will throw you under the bus and back it over and run it back over again. And so it's like all of these people who get into the Trump orbit, the story seems to always end the same, whether it was Michael Cohen, who was there before Giuliani, whether it was Jeff Sessions, his former attorney general, whether it was Bill Barr, who now Trump hates and despises. We've seen the back and forth love-hate thing with Steve Bannon. The story always ends the same with these people. They end up with sullied reputations, no professional worth of any kind, and a lot of legal fees.
And a lot of legal fees, and he doesn't pay his bills. So I don't even know if Giuliani ever got paid for the legal fees. You're a lawyer. Can you imagine you did all that work and humiliated yourself?
I would only do that with money up front. I mean, I wouldn't take as a client anyway, but I would demand payment.
You're a smart person. It was Melissa Murray who coined "making attorneys get attorneys" is what MAGA really stands for.
There you go.
Yes. Very wise. Kimberly Atkins, Bardella, thank you both very much. Still ahead.